you obviously had a great career there. Your freshman year you came out, you averaged 20 yards a catch, had 5 touchdowns. And I think you had a really, really solid sophomore year. And I know over your last 2 years is when, you killed it. And I got to see some of that myself personally, over 1,000 yards, 2 years, 16, 17 touchdowns over 2 years. But that's a lot to accomplish. And we know what it stacked up to. But for me personally, when I think about Joey Kent, I think about JK, I think about your career. It's like one catch, one game. And that's when I think about it, I automatically come to that because I know where I was standing. I know who I was standing there with. We're standing there, I'm talking 95.
Yeah.
That game, because I came, by that time, I think we had lost, 10 years, 10 straight. We had beat one, so we had a tie in there somewhere, but we hadn't
We had
beaten
a tie.
Alabama
We had a tie in
92,
92,
I think.
Yeah,
92.
There
was David Paul.
No, 93. Actually 93. It was 93.
Okay.
They won the national championship in 92.
Yeah, somewhere around. But I knew that coming out of high school. They recruited me coming out of school. Other people, and it's just like I can't. One of the reasons why I went to Tennessee was to beat them. I really disliked that team down there. And that was one of the reasons I was there. And I felt that frustration. I know what the third Saturday in October means, and it's like I was, as a red shirt, I saw it. It was just like we got to get up. Like it was pent up frustration for everybody. You could feel it, fans, players, coaches. It was like somebody keeps bullying. You're tired of this, and we're standing there on that sideline. We're in Birmingham. I think we were in Birmingham for that game.
Yeah,
because it was outside. So Legion, I remember riding. I remember getting there. I remember this whole thing. I remember riding to the stadium, getting there, and we're standing there, and everybody's defense. We usually, you kind of see it up, but we're standing up. We're just like, we need to see this because we feel it. We can make something happen this game. And then it's like, boom, you take off. So I'm gonna come to the aftermath of that because, I want to say it right now because that one play opened up the floodgates for like 7 years, in my opinion.
Sure did. Yeah.
Once we got over that hump, once that play was over, I said, no disrespect to them. I talk about them, but I hate to disrespect an opponent. But I knew the game was over at that point. And it's like we got the same athletes, better athletes. We can beat them, and that just gave everybody just a shot. And we took that and ran with it. Not just that game, but we ran with it for a long time. Talk to me about that a little bit from your perspective, because I know you're from Huntsville. You're Alabama, and that's how did they let you out of Alabama first of all? So talk to me how that feels being an Alabama kid and that particular play with all that being said.
That was my third shot at him because you just mentioned we had a tie in 93. That was my freshman year. Lost at home. Probably should have won that game too, but we didn't. So really, like that summer of my junior year, like I would literally go to sleep, like thinking about how it would feel to beat Alabama. Like that's how important it was. Like I would literally, like I would think about how campus would be, how the strip would be, how all those thoughts would go through my head because at that time we had the talent to beat them right during those years, but things happen and we would lose the game. And but obviously that game was really important to me being from Huntsville. Alabama did recruit me. They recruited me as a safety though. So in high school I played both ways, right? So
that's right.
I did not want to play defense in college. But I had to, I was pretty successful in high school at safety, caught a few picks and made a couple tackles here and there. But I remember going down to on an unofficial visit. It might have been unofficial visit. And it might have been an official visit then. So I was sitting in Coach Stallings' office and he was saying, he was kind of projecting, what he wanted me to play. He was like, son, I think, I don't think you can play receiver here at Alabama. I think you're better suited as a safety. And once he said that, I wasn't going to Alabama anyway because I never liked Alabama, right? So I never was an Alabama fan. So I wasn't going out there anyway. I just wanted to go and just go and see what it was all about. But once he said that, that was it. You know, that was
I think he was wrong. I think he was wrong with that assessment. He was a little bit off with his
the funny
assessment.
part about
Coach
that.
Stallings was a little off. Yeah.
And the funny part about that, we were at a it was after my senior year at the quarterback club dinner in Birmingham, and we sat right beside each other, and we were kind of talking about the 95, 96 game. He was like, "Son, I think I was wrong on that assessment." So we laughed.
At least he was a good sport about it, man. It was a good sport about it.
But yeah, man.
So
just talking about that game, though, JC, man, I don't know if you remember, we just had a really good week of practice too.
We did.
Just the confidence level, the game plan. I mean, people always talk about that first play, and yeah, that was a huge momentum swing, and it gave us a lot of confidence. But people don't talk a lot about how well you guys played defensively, man. I mean, I tell people this all the time. That particular game, that particular night, we could have beat anybody in the country. The way offense played, defense, and special teams too, right?
Yeah.
I'm honored. That was like a dream come true to score against Alabama and like a meaningful score, right? That was like something that I would dream about and think about how that would feel, and to do it on the first play of the game and really kickstart that game, man. It's like, you can't make that up. A kid from Huntsville playing at Legion Field. My great grandmother lived across the street in the projects. Like my family is from Birmingham. My mother and father is originally from Birmingham.
That's what I remembered about that ride in, was like the scene coming in.
Yeah,
that's what I remember. Yeah.
So my mother and father are from Birmingham. My father ended up going to Alabama A&M, played football, ended up coaching and teaching there. Mom is originally from Birmingham, went to Miles College in Birmingham, and got a master's at Alabama A&M. So that's how they met, and that's how we ended up. That's how I was born and raised in Huntsville. But my extended family, cousins, aunts, uncles were Birmingham, lived in Birmingham. So we would go down there, spend summers down there sometimes, like few weeks during the summer, and just be with my cousins. And we would go to my great grandmother's house, and she lived in those projects across the street. And I would walk out, in the yard and look at the stadium.
Wow.
Like I would literally, look at the stadium.
Crazy.
And then in the crazy part, I spent a lot of time in Legion Field too, because my father was, again, he played at Alabama A&M, coached at Alabama A&M, and taught there. And so there's this game called the Magic City Classic. So it's Alabama A&M against Alabama State.
Yeah.
Back then, both of them were in the SWAC, I believe. But it's an annual game. So we would go to that game every year, ever since I remember, when I was 5 years old up until high school, we would go to that game. So I spent time in the stadium. Never in a million years thought, that I will be playing in that stadium on that type of platform and making a play across the street from where I used to, as a kid, walk out and look at the stadium and kind of dream like, man, I wish, one day maybe I would play in that stadium. So all those emotions, man, of that night, and what I remember the most is, the plays that we made offensively, defensively, but the best feeling was the locker room. That locker room. The field celebration. I just remember just hugging and just being so happy. Not for myself. Obviously, it gave me a satisfied feeling that, I was a part of something that ended a streak, and that was so important to Tennessee people. But I was so happy for the seniors that went through so much, and that was their last shot at it, right? I was happy for them. I was happy for Coach Fulmer. I was happy for all the Tennessee folks that were around before me, the former players, just fans, and then once we got in that locker room, man, I've been in a lot of locker rooms. I was in the AFC Championship locker room that won and went to, been in a lot of locker rooms, man. But that And obviously you can speak toward the celebration, because I was in that national championship locker room too. And just that feeling is crazy, just being, you know, kind of fly on the wall, but being a part of that locker room that night, it was like joy. Like, you know,
it's you physically see joy. Like it's hard to explain to people when you can see when you're as happy, when you see other people happy. It's like you're happy yourself, but you know the fans are happy. You know people at home are happy. You know, it's just like it was a weight lifted off of hundreds of thousands, like a lot of people. And you being a part of that, like you said, you named all the people that you do it for, your teammates, your coaches, like everybody said that locker room, and you can't obviously explain that to anyone. You have to be in that moment to truly get it, to understand what that feels like. Because one of the things, especially with, you know, with the locker room, saying that, you know, because, you know, you have the song. How did you, because you being at home, because I know every time we go beat South Carolina, we start singing the song, they immediately look at me. You know what I'm saying? We don't, for everybody who does not know, it's the we don't give a damn about. So we beat someone, we don't give a damn about the whole state.
Singing it the loudest, man. I was probably singing it the loudest.
Like you could give me a camera, you can give me a mic right now. I don't.
I was probably singing it the loudest because again, man, I knew what that game meant to a lot of people, and what it meant to me, and it was such a good feeling, man. And it's something that, you know, you think about from time to time, and, you know, just you think about your teammates, and you know why you did it back then, and, you know, obviously a lot of years have passed, but there's nothing like a locker room.